So, yes, I'm gonna put a wrapper on this. And it just kind of, the momentum leading to right now, I mean, he couldn't tee me up better than what he just did. But, our heart since the inception that we created Boot Shoot, so if you really look at it kind of in a span of years, it's almost been a decade. We just finished the 8th year of Boot Shoot. Let me just give you some quick perspective. In a 48-hour time period, we did $1.4 million. Listen to that. And the idea being is that, just when you think about how that thing inception started, where it progressed to, it's so much further past what my comprehension of what a charity event could be. It's blown my mind. And yet, I guess the next level of what could that be? I don't know. It just keeps rolling though. And I don't know how we make it bigger, but somehow it just keeps getting bigger. But, for us, it's more of the authenticity of what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. And, really the whole idea behind Boot Shoot is that everybody, again, in this room supports it at such a high level. Raise your hands if you've ever been at Boot Shoot. Just keep your hands up. Everybody look at each other. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is not something I have to explain to you what it is. You already know what it is. You already feel it. You make it part of your DNA. You bring your referral partners. Everybody in here has experienced this. Some have never missed it. Some have just experienced it. But, that is real, and it's this cool little living organism that's going to keep going. But what we're going to do is we're going to officially go into a foundation. And so we have made a decision that we are now full on creating the Valor Mission Project, and just super proud of this. So, just to kind of give you some backstory on that is that, again, I was hoping Chad would jump up here. I'm not sure where he is, but, Chad has been a big instigator, is probably the best word, of just pushing me to this point of, man, we have got to get a foundation. And, he's seen so many different other organizations. He knows the difference between what we do and what other people do. And he knows, again, the authenticity of why we do it. And he knows how much help we give. And so, with me going, man, I can't do more than what we're doing on a 48-hour time period with Boot Shoot. I'm not sure how we do that. But with this whole veteran event, what's happened is that everybody, and I really mean this, everybody has constantly asked over and over again, hey man, how do we do it at a bigger level? How do we do more? And so this is why we created the foundation. So the foundation in its goals are honoring our military men and women. It's raising money and awareness that makes a real difference. Today, we focus on two priorities. One is Brain Treatment Foundation, which many of you are aware of, and the other one is Third Option. The needs haven't changed. It's right there. And what we've ultimately done is that with this foundation, we're creating a turnkey, easy plug and play for you for what we're calling Benchmark 365. You want to jump in?
Sure. You got to invite me up here first. I'm not just going to walk up here, you got on a roll, so I just let you roll.
Okay, jump in.
I'm in. All right. So what we had talked about forever, even 8 years ago, like when Janet was thrown Boot Shoot, and it's like, Stuart was just kind of like, hey, honey, I got this thing I want you to do. Here you go. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then she worked 364 days out of the year to make that thing work on a couple of days. And so what we realized was there had to be a more formal way, a better way, a Joe Mirabella, hey, you really need to make this thing legal way of doing this. So when we all sat down and said, what does this look like? That's how the idea for this came up. And it's a way to give back 365 days of the year. Because what we realized is if you look up the definition of philanthropist, it's a real easy definition. It says someone who wants to do something for the welfare of others through a generous monetary donation. Well, you can't do that if there's not monetary ways of giving back to help those people that you want to help. So by formalizing this, we're taking it a next step. So when you go back to your branches, when you go back to your life, doesn't matter if you are a branch. You can be an individual, you can be an underwriter, you can be whoever. If you want to be a part of this, there's a way to be a part of it. And then when we all come together as a team, when you bring in your referral partners, when you bring in your title companies, all the people that you do business with, and you go, hey, not only are we doing the right thing for all of our clients, and it's not just veterans, please don't get this wrong. It's everybody. Not only are we doing that, but we've chosen to put our heart and our effort behind giving back to these people. It's the veterans, it's the first responders, it's the people that go out and allow us to do everything we want to do on a daily basis. That's where our heart is. And so being able to do that on a 365-day-a-year deal is game-changing for us, and it's game-changing as a company, and we can really, really make a difference. We did it with Boot Shoot. Now we're just going to compound that by 100 times, and we're going to go out and crush this thing.
So the part that I want you to get right now, and I'm glad spouses are in the room, is that, the blessing of giving, okay? I'm gonna go down this because I'm just gonna state the obvious. I personally have been more blessed than I would have ever dreamed. I mean, and yet in that, there was always this purpose with Boot Shoot. And with that, it's created some of the most amazing relationships that I have in my life, standing right next to me. And that's the part that I want for you more, okay? So it's not like, I don't want you to get into this, well, what does this cost? Stop that. Because I'm telling you, if you live in the abundant side of life and not the scarcity side of life, this doesn't cost anything. It does not cost anything. It costs you not to be part of this, okay? If you get on the abundant side of life and you start thinking about how we use our platform as a real way to say thank you, you'll bless more people than you can ever imagine. And the cool part about that is that as we kind of strategize and talk through this, and as we created really strategy around this foundation, is that the truth be told is that if you really want to kind of look at it from a selfish perspective, I think you're about to have the greatest communication strategy that any mortgage company has ever created, hands down, period, end of story. Every time that you do a loan, can you imagine if I did a loan for Chad and the outcome was I'm posting something on social media, it says, so proud that I just got the Flemings in a home, and by the way, in their name, I just donated X amount towards, the Michael Mansour Brain Treatment Scholarship. To learn more about that. And then as I start to build and stay consistent and create that communication strategy, think about this. I can do that with my real estate agents. I can do that with my referral partners. And I'm telling you, people are starving to do good. They are. They just need a way to make it happen. So that's what this is.
But let me jump in there for a second, because here's what I don't want you to think. I don't want you to ever think that because you're doing a certain type of loan that you're proselytizing off of, hey, I'm doing this veteran loan. I'm trying to get these veterans to come and give me business, but I kind of feel bad about it because, I want to give back. What I'll tell you, veterans like Matt, Andrew, Bruce, that table over there, Rick, all the other veterans in here, when we look to buy a product, trust me, I look to see what they're doing. And if they're like, hey, we give back to this thing, then one, I vet it, I promise you, because I want to make sure they're doing the right thing. But then I also understand they're making a profit. But you know what? You're going to get my money. And I'm okay with that because I know what you're doing. I know you're doing the right thing. So sometimes that gets hazy in the 501c fundraising world as people go, oh, I kind of feel bad that I'm asking this certain demographic to do business. That's the reason I gave you the whole definition of what a philanthropist is. You have to do that in order to do good for others. So don't ever think, that's coming from me, and that's coming from these other veterans too, they'll tell you. So don't ever think that when you're doing this.
So let's go jump into this. Okay, so foundation's created. What's the turnkey? So the idea being is that, man, is versus just attaching to, for example, well, I'm with a company and our company's a big giver. I want you to become the giver. I want you to participate. Yes, you are with a company. Trust me. And by the way, that company is made up of these people in here that give that much money. So that's this body. But what I'm saying is that we wanted to create it from your team that's on the ground. I want you to think about every team member, and I want them to feel like that they're part of this. And I don't care what it is. I just want them to be engaged. I want them to feel like, you know what, we're doing this as a team, as a body, as one effort. So here's the example. You do a loan. You don't have to do a loan. You could be in the branch and it could just be a payroll deduction, just so you know. So you could say, hey, you know what? Every time I get paid, take $20 out of my check. I want it to go towards our brain treatment scholarship, okay? And so the concept here is that, but let's go to a loan. So a loan happens. We do transactions. That's our platform. If we use our platform as a way to say thank you, every time I do one of those, I'll make a decision that, you know what, I'm going to give towards a goal. And so each one of these scholarships potentially cost about $15,000, just to use numbers, okay? So one brain treatment scholarship's $15,000, and we have on there what all that does. We can give you a lot more details, but the idea is how many can we do, okay? And so, you know, that's really where all the money for Boot Shoot has gone to, is to try to get our veterans that and our first responders that really needed it yesterday into a very, very active treatment role to get them to a healthy lifestyle. So with that, then they can have a healthy life versus, you know, the latter, which is they give up and the ultimate, be honest with you, is suicide, and we're trying to curb that, okay? So the fast and furious down this. Loan officer makes a decision. All right, I'm gonna do $50 each loan. Perfect, okay. Then they get with their team. Hey, would the branch do a match, or would the branch come up with a number? Okay, let's say the branch says, hey man, I'm gonna match you, loan officer, on the $50. Now we're at 100. All right, now check this out. Then corporate says, all right, game on, I'll match you. So do you see how fast that just compounded? Okay, so now we've got each loan at 200. So at 75 loans, we've got one scholarship. And that's the inspiration that I want. I just want to make it that simple. It's not even, there's nothing harder than what I just said. It's just that simple. So we have pledge cards. I don't know if they're out. I don't know where they are. Thank you. Here's what I'm asking you to do. I don't want you to fill this out right now. I want you to think about it. I want you to get with your team. I want you to process it. I want you to make a good decision. What I love about it is that I want you to bring it back on awards night. I want you to find Marla or Amanda, and I want you to make sure you give it to them. And we're gonna have fun with this, okay? But I want you to know that, you know, maybe next slide, Garrett. Is that what we've, again, tried to do is make this so turnkey. So these are heroes. These are folks that did not come back. We'll call them, they're gold star families is what they are. And so these are guys that we've honored at Boot Shoot over the last 8 years. And so for these guys to be on there, we've talked to their families. We've got approval to be able to use, for example, let's talk about Keith Butler.
Yeah, I mean, Keith was a very dear friend of mine. Keith was killed in 2014. He was literally shoulder to shoulder with me. Had I been probably a couple inches right to the left, it very easily could have been me. But you're taking a guy that served his entire career in the Special Forces, retired out of the military, went to work where I was, and all combined had done over 47 combat trips in his lifetime into nasty places, getting shot at for a living. Keith was on his last deployment. That's what we talked about every night before we went out. He was like, this is it. He had been very smart, and he had made an investment in Midland, Odessa, way back when, and it was about to pay him out. And that's all he could talk about. We go out that one last night thinking everything is going to be great, and then Keith never comes home. So that's the impact that it makes. Chief Carlson, I ran the mountains of Afghanistan with Carlson for several years. Tyson Nick was a very dear friend of mine. Tyson and I were in the Army together. We served at 2 special operations units together within the Army. Then Tyson and I, when we left, we were both recruited at the same time to go to our next chapter in life. And Tyson actually took my place. I was supposed to be on that trip, and for some reason, my documents got messed up, and the office called and said, hey, you're gonna hold up for 3 weeks. We're gonna send Tyson in your place. Tyson goes over, and 3 days later, on his first trip, that was his first trip in his new chapter of life, Tyson gets killed, taking the fight to the enemies. I know his son, Cooper, his son's my son's age. It's just, what we can do. And then you take Mike Spann. You know, interesting story with Mike Spann is he and I grew up 20 minutes away from each other in Alabama. He and I used to play football against each other. And then Mike was the first American killed in the war on terrorism. When he went into Mazar Sharif, into a prison, into an Afghan prison, to get information out of some of the bad guys when a riot kicked off and Mike was actually killed with the gun that he took in the prison because they overran the two guys that were in the prison, Mike and one other guy. So I have a real personal connection with 4 of these heroes that we're honoring. And what you understand because you've been to boot shoot is that it makes a difference. And especially for those individuals, because you're not going to see write-ups. You're not going to see a lot of pomp and circumstance under what happened to them because there just can't be. But, you know, when I took Stuart and Jim up last year, that's when it really hit home and those two guys really understood. You know, when you're standing there and you're looking at a star on a wall, and oh, by the way, nobody's name is in a book because it can't be, yet their families are there wanting more information. The only way that we can impact those families is to let them know that every one of us cares and loves them for what their loved ones sacrificed so that we can do what we do on a daily basis.
So I'm real proud of this because, I mean, you know, this would be kind of the pictures is that you choose a scholarship, okay? So we have those. Again, we vetted them. We've got it approved. And so you pick a hero. And with that hero, you know, you are attaching a mission behind it. So we get to tell that hero's story, number one. But number two is that every loan that we do is going to fund that scholarship. And then when we get to give that scholarship to someone that needs it, they are getting, for example, the Tyson Nick scholarship. And who was Tyson Nick? Well, and so it's just, it just makes this substance have so much more than them just going to go get, you know, the next treatment. They understand that there was a process, there was a pattern, there was a lot of work, there was a lot of heavy lifting that led for that moment. Not that they wouldn't take it serious, I just think that it just makes it so much more. So back to the communication strategy. So if this is something that you want to do, again, we're going to rally around you really hard about making you successful in this. We definitely have a communication strategy. Once you kind of opt in or your team opts in or however you coordinate that, we've got a digital media kit that we're going to give you for all marketing purposes so you can start to kind of make it loud and you can be proud in your community about what you're doing. You'll be able to engage, again, your referral partners and be able to explain to them what you're doing. You might be able to even involve them if that's, you know, and I would. After each one, you'll have a certificate of donation at every one of your closings. For example, you'll be able to just make it, you know, even imprint with that client of what we just accomplished together. So it's so much bigger than the loan that you're doing today. Everybody like this? So a couple of more graphics and then, you know, again, this is just kind of how we're seeing it. This is, you know, like the one in the middle, you know, right then. You'll have that identifier that you're at 4,000 with the goal of 15 and you're working up to that number. So we've got we've got several things thought out. I mean, obviously like everything, and many of y'all saw VA 2.0. You know, this is our first, we're kicking the ball off. Here we go. I think we'll get better and better and better as we do it. But we're going to get better because we're participating in it, we're doing it. Okay, to the pledge form. So can't make this any easier than what it is. It's got your name. If you don't do loans, you can do a deduction. If you do loans, you're in that next one. It's per loan funded amount. And then if you're the branch and you would consider doing something that adds an addition, that's where that would be. So that pretty simple? Okay. I mean, if I understand it, I know it's pretty simple. Okay, and then last but least, super proud of this. So we have a full-time person that Benchmark's now hired. Morgan is going to be leading our foundation. He's got his hands full, just know it. He knows that we have a 747 up in the air now and we are rolling. So he is super excited. I'm super excited about having him on our team. This guy has the biggest heart you will ever meet in your entire life. He is the perfect person to be leading this. We're super proud about having him as part of this team. So any last closing?
Morgan will do a great job. If you have questions, get with him. One of the reasons that we chose Morgan was one, for his educational background. So he actually has a master's degree in fundraising, athletics, all that. He came from the collegiate athletic world, but what he understands about never quit is he was a childhood cancer survivor. So when he went into Children's Hospital, there were 5 other kids that had the same cancer he had, and he was the only one to walk out. And so the kid knows what it means to never quit. Like Stuart said, he's got a big heart, but we're going to have to help him because he's about to start drinking from the fire hose real quick. So
that's it, man. I'm so proud, again, to close it with this. It's just what it's all about. I mean, you know, when we started it, where we are right now, we're the strongest that we've ever been. So let's use our platform to bless people, okay?
Thank you all.